leadership of PIWC Sakumano for giving us this opportunity, thinking that this is something important that we must undergo and have made it possible. So we thank God for that. Majorly, we're looking at providing guidance and sharing experiences with people who are striving to secure their first job or looking to switch jobs. Then secondly, we are looking to create a platform for all the participants here to receive feedback on their career development journeys. And then we want to promote professional networking amongst participants like you are looking at doing. So, of course, if you're near married and now bumpire, I say a mistake. We've had a lot of prayers here today, so opening prayer and there. And okay, I'll turn you the quick one. 2 seconds opening prayer without praise and worship. Thank you.
Please shall we pray? Our dear Lord and our Master Jesus, we thank you for this great opportunity. We thank you, oh God, even as many are here to switch career paths, others are here for other job opportunities, others are here for many other reasons. Father, we pray in the name of Jesus. We ask that, oh God, the Bible says that where 2 or 3 are gathered in your name, you are with us. Father, we pray for your presence to be with us so that even as we listen to our panelists, Father, we pray that the Holy Spirit will also speak to us so that some of the questions that we have come here with, you help us to better understand and to be better placed before we are out of here. We thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. I want to invite our brother Jeffrey Ampofo, PMP, with a round of applause. He'll give us a brief overview beyond what I have mentioned today, and then we can move on to our first speaker presentation of the day. Please, you've eaten jollof, so you can clap. So please clap to the glory of God. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Unfortunately for me, I don't talk for a living. So whatever I'm going to do will be very snappy. Yeah, so you are all welcome once again, and it's very good to be here. My reason for being here this afternoon is very, very simple. I'm just to welcome you, give an overview of what is going to happen here, then I'll be done. So we know there are a lot of youths within the system, and as it stands now, some are even about completing school without knowing what they really want to do. Some have completed school, are about finishing their national services, and they don't even know whether the subject they read in school is what they should continue, is a path they should follow. Sometimes it's very difficult telling when to wait patiently on the Lord and when you are wasting time. So sometimes you're like, oh, should I continue being here with the expectation that things will change? This opportunity, there will be a boom in the career path I've chosen. It gets very confusing. That's why we are here. So if you are such a person, if you fall within this category, you are at the right place at the right time. Then there are others too who are now entering into the job markets. They don't even know what career path to choose, whether to be in the IT space, or some will also say, oh, I really love to be in the IT space, but I didn't read science. I haven't done anything computer related. Can I still be there? You would find answers to all these. There are others also who do not fall within any of these categories. So they are none of the above. You are also at the right place because there is going to be an opportunity for you to interact. There are others too who are in their mid-career level doing quite well. But whatever it is, there will still be a room for improvement. So regardless of whatever level you are, whether you are a beginner, you are in your mid-career path, whatsoever, there is something designed here for you this afternoon. So the whole program has been divided into 4 sections. So the first section is going to be a lecture on the trends of the job market. What do employers expect from employees, those who are applying for jobs? There are students from the same class, from the same course. Some apply for job and they get. Some too, Charlie, for about 2, 3, 4, 5 years after school, they haven't even landed their first job. Some too keep hopping from one job to another. I know someone who says, oh, maybe I'm in traffic, macha 5 years. Obinzu per se, ebia wache obebia na 2 years in so, Charlie. And yes, there are certain tricks to all that. We have the experts here who are going to help us do all that. And the second part will be a panel discussion where we will have our SMEs. When I say SMEs, I don't mean small and medium scale enterprise. I mean subject matter experts. Yes, subject matter experts. So SMEs will mount the podium. Then you ask all manner of questions, every question, anything at all that is bothering your mind. Then the third session will be a breakout session. You are not going to break out. You are not going to go outside the auditorium. It's going to be industry specific. So if it's the finance industry you want to enter into, there will be a coalition or a group of people, like-minded people related like that. They will be with them. Then the final section will be the closing. So, like I said in my preamble, I don't talk for a living. So I know we'll talk much. Yeah, I will leave it here for my Emponio. And you can make us a didia. Okay, all right. So I'll leave it to my brother. Yeah.
Oh, are you clapping? Come on. Jeffrey has shown that he's a Pentecost guy. You know, usually when you come for Pentecost, especially convention, now so for sure the Nasa Muberry, yeah. That's like about 1.5 hours. Until he doesn't talk for a living, Punye. Jeffrey, thank you for your overview. God bless you for your brief, in-depth overview. Jamisha. Right, so we are moving straight into action. For the benefit of our panelists, we are not using a podium today because we want to have a direct connection with our audience. We want to be able to look into their eyes, you know. When somebody's looking at you and you see they are confused, then you can tell. You know, but when there's a podium, sometimes you're tempted to, you know, look onto it or look onto the material there. So we're doing without it. And then for those of you who weren't here when I mentioned, it's a free flow thing. We've allowed them to be able to not necessarily interject, but they can raise their hands if they want clarity on something you're saying. You don't necessarily have to finish your entire presentation before they do so. Now, our first speaker or subject matter experts, like my brother Jeff said, is a human resource professional. He's a certified human resources professional with more than 15 years. It's more than 15 years of experience, professional experience for that matter. And he's certified in change management. He's a specialist with that, with the Management and Strategy Institute of USA. Of course, he has a proven record of impact that includes organizational development and change, performance management learning, training and development, recruitment, employee and labor relations, succession planning, and organizational restructuring. He also has professional skills in strategic planning for business success and leadership. He is also a chartered professional in human resources, CPHR Canada, and a senior certified professional of the Society of Human Resource Management USA, which is SHRM SCP. His professional experience has principally been in the oil and gas industry, but he has spanned over various industries, interfacing other ones as well. Ladies and gentlemen, he is an elder of the Church of Pentecost, and we're honored to have him with us. You know, dynamites, they say, come in small packages. So he's a cute package, but it's an explosive mechanism. Elder Edward Apia Brafo. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome him with a round of applause. You see, he's a cute package, like I said. You can do it better. Come on, people. And he's my boss. So everything that's happening today is a matter of promotional activity, hoping that by the time we are done, I can get some promotion.
Yeah, thank you, Nee. I don't think you need to let them know I'm a cute package. They can see for themselves. Yes. So thank you very much. I'm very much happy to be here, and I always love interacting with young people like you. I'm an HR professional, and I always want to see people grow in their careers and in whatever they do. And above all, I'm somebody that I love money, mepiska. Not money to misbehave, but money to enjoy life. You know, all these things if you want to do in life, you need money. And you don't get money out of going about stealing or doing things that are wrong. You get money from your career, from the work you do, the business you build, and, the things you do for a living. And so you need to work and make money and enjoy life. There are some people who are very wicked. None of you, apart from Elder and Elder here, nobody is married here. Who else is married? Oh, a deacon is married. Oh, yeah. My brother, you are also married. Oh, wow. It's good. Some of you guys are marrying very young, and it's good. So that by the time you get to your 50s, like me, all the kids would have come out and they are looking like your boyfriends and girlfriends. It's good. It's good. So we are going to have a very quick interaction, and I think I was giving a topic. So let's go to the next slide. We're going to talk about a career. The topic I was giving was trends and future outlook of jobs, and how the job market is going to look over the next few years. And so we are all going to do this together. A career is a long-term professional journey one may choose based on passion and other considerations. It is the path you embark upon to fulfill your professional goals. One may require certain level of education and certifications and training to achieve what you need to do in your career. And of course, a career may last for a lifetime where many jobs could be done with different employers across different industries. So principally, in a very nutshell, this is what a career is all about. But I'm very much interested in the first one, my first line. It's a long-term professional journey one may choose to embark upon based on passion and other considerations. So this is a career. And so we must differentiate between career and job. Let's go to the next slide, job, so that we'll now understand it better. What is a job? Let's go. Yeah, a job in this sense is work you perform to earn money to support your basic needs. It can be a full-time, part-time, short-term, long-term. So that is a job, something you do to earn money to help you live life. And so you can have jobs, different jobs, within a particular industry. You can have so many jobs within a particular career. And you can have jobs that, transits or moves between these careers or industries. For example, I am an HR professional, and so HR is my career. It is a career that I desired to be in and I have been in, and it's a career I want to pursue until maybe I retire. So I worked for a while at GMPC, and from principal officer, I became the chief HR officer. That was a job, a position I had, an occupation, what was occupying my time at the time. I left GNPC and I went to the Petroleum Commission as the first human capital manager. I was still in that same career, but I changed jobs. You understand? I changed jobs, but I was still in the same career. One can move, if I had moved from HR and as chief HR officer, and then I moved to insurance to be a salesperson. I have changed careers and I have changed jobs. So those are the things. But then for currently, and of course somebody may ask that, in your title there, you are a corporate affairs manager. Of course, some things happen that are a bit political, and so because there are cameras around, I wouldn't want to say that. But of course, I was moved from HR into corporate affairs. So this one, I have changed careers. In fact, I didn't change. My job puts me there, that go and be this, for a while. And so it is an area that corporate affairs, and of course, where is Nee? Nee is somebody who is he's one of my sons, and he has done very well. He can talk for a living and make so much money out of that. I started, one of the things I was considering to do in my life, was to be a public relations person. So my first master's was in communications, PR. And when I came back from the US, and I worked with that for about 2 months in Pentecost University College. And then I had done some interview at GMPC in HR. My second master's was in HR. So I had 2 areas, communications and HR, so I could move in any area. So I started work at Pentecost University College before my appointment letter was given to me from GMPC. And when I was called to pick it up, I saw the salary difference between GMPC and Pentecost University College. I said, Sumanguru Kante, this one I have to run. But of course, to the detriment of what at the time Rector Opokunyina was there, and they were not happy at all at the time, that I was trying to leave. But I mean, seriously, I had come back from the US at the time. I needed money. My wife and kids were in the US. They needed to come and join me. And the salary difference about 5-6 times. And I said, no, this one. So I left. So I left the public relations, communications career, and I moved into an HR career. So those are the things, the careers and jobs. Okay, let's move on. Oh, presiding. Yes. So career choice, let's go. This refers to how one chooses a career. The choice of a career is the responsibility of the individual. So in choosing a career, it is you. We have career choice, we have career development, we have career management. But the career choice is your responsibility. Nobody can do that for you. Nobody. And career choice is predicated on 1, passion, 2, labor market, relative value of job, and 3, relevance. So you don't choose career anyhow. Number 1, it must be your passion. Some people choose careers based on the monetary value that is in it, as against the number one consideration, which is their passion. And that is where they have problems. And that is why you go to hospital, they say there's a nurse, you meet somebody, the person cannot do anything. I mean, a nurse that cannot welcome a patient, cannot do anything for the patient, always, shouting on patients and all that. No, that person doesn't have a passion for the job. For all you know, the person got in there because he finished school, there was no other avenue, let me go into nursing, and the person is wanting to make money. But the person doesn't have a passion. You must have passion for the job, number 1. And after you've gotten the passion for that, then you must also look at the relative value of that job. So you are here and you love music, you love music, and you are very good in playing the piano, It is a career, a music career one can choose to have, especially in the area of playing the piano. But then, look at, if you want to make playing piano your career, sika umwana, and how long can you do that? And can you stay in one job and get that done? Or you think that it's a kind of area that, look, there's money in it, but it can't be your foremost career. It's something you can do on the side and make some money out of that. So in choosing career, there are a lot of things you need to consider about the relevance also. How relevant is this job? This thing I want to do. How far can it take me? What can I do with it? Sika umwana. And what would I get out of that? You are building a career that, number 1, can last you for a lifetime. And of course, you can also change careers. But you are making a very important decision that, 10 more minutes, you are making an important decision that you don't have to toy with it. It's a very serious and dangerous matter. So in choosing career, you have to be very careful. Unfortunately for us in this part of the world, choice of career, has been more or less associated with the course you do in school. And if you are good, but you want to do medicine, and for some reason you went to the exam room and you couldn't pass your physics or your chemistry, they will say that you didn't pass well, so don't do science, go and do arts. And you're also not really good in literature, you don't like reading and all that. But because of our educational system, the way it is, you've been forced into something that you don't really like. And if you are not going abroad and you are going to stay in this country, then it is going to follow you for a very long time, if not the entire lifetime of yours. So our educational system and the way we manage things here are really also part of the difficulties we are facing as young people in terms of choosing career. Let's go. I have less than that. Before choosing a career, consider the following. Assess yourself. We talked about that. Your values, interests, soft skills, aptitude, in combination with your personality type. What do I want to do? What can I do? What do I like? I love talking, but one thing I hate is to see blood. So there's no way I can work in a hospital. Much as there is money in nursing and medicine abroad, if you give that to me, give me $10 billion an hour, I can't do it. So take your money. Let me do something that I think and I have the passion that I can do. And of course, after you've assessed yourself, this one is giving you a step-by-step procedure of how you can choose your career. Number 2, make a list of careers to explore. Create a multiple list of occupations and put them in a scale of preference or in an order of desirability. So in thinking of what to do, start listing them. What do I do? Go to the next one. What can I do? I think HR is nice. I can do HR. Communications, not bad. Start listing them. There's something they call public procurement. Buying for an organization, it's a science and art anyway. What can I do? Well, let me also put that down. So you begin to list, all the things that you would want to do. After you've listed all of them, you explore the careers on your list. Critically explore them and assess the list that you have. And then you begin to narrow them. Look for basic information about each of the occupations. Find job descriptions, educational requirements, and training, licensing that must go with that. Use credible sources to get labor market information and to get information about labor. So after you have listed all the things that you really want to do, now you begin to narrow them down. Okay, you are somebody, you are good in everything. In medicine, you can do sciences, you can do accounting, you can do HR, you can do so many things. So you begin to put them down. Now, if I want to do medicine, how many years would it take me? Do I have the money to go through school? What licenses do I have to get? So you do that for that, you do that for HR, you do that for procurement. So you make all those web information about the careers you have listed. You must also look at how to get there. I want to be an accountant. I want to be a doctor. I want to be this. How many years do I have to go to school? What are the things I need to learn? How long will it take me? Of course, they ask for the money, you know in the process of time. You want to ask a question, right? Okay. So you ask all that. Go online, look for job descriptions. If I want to be a good HR person, what are the skills, the competencies, the knowledge that I need to have? You can go and assess them. And so you use all these bits of information to narrow down your list, so that, you get some very detailed information about it. Let's go to the next one. Next slide. Yeah, so you also conduct informational research or inquiry. Basically, we've talked about that. Make sure that, you narrow down your thing a little bit. Try to meet people, after you've narrowed down, try to meet people in other areas. You've seen doctors, you've seen HR persons. There are times that people have contacted me. My sister is here. A lot of people that see me, I want to do HR. What can I do? I want to do communications. What are the courses I can take in school? I've finished my first degree, but I want to branch into this. What do I do? We do at master's level, And so you need to ask people about that. You then make your career choice. After doing all your research, you will finally be ready to make your choice and pick the occupation that you think will bring you the most satisfaction and joy. And principally, it's a career. It's like going into marriage. You are going into this not with the intention of that I'm going to see if it's good and I'll come back or not. But you are going into this with the intention that, it's going to help you to go through life. Of course, as for career, you can switch. As for marriage, you can't. But career, you can switch. If you think I found something here that I really, really want to do, So yeah, let's go. Yeah. So you also have to identify your goals. Now that you've chosen your career, you must identify your long-term goals. What do I have to do? Maybe you want to be a procurement person. Now, that is what you want to do. So these are the courses I want to go and do. Now, in my short-term, long-term goals, what do I have to do? I want to be a top-notch procurement person. I want to be licensed with the procurement authority in Ghana. There is this Chartered Institute of Logistics and Procurement that they do in England. They have some in the US, they have some in other places. What do I need to do? So now you begin to plan yourself that in the next 5 years, this is where I would want to be. In the next 15 years, this is where I would want to be. And then you plan, according to what you would want to do. Yeah. So let's go. So you then also write a career action plan. I mean, we have talked about that, a roadmap where you want to move from A to B. I think my time is going. Let's go quickly. Yeah. So today's job market, status, trends, and outlook. And there is this forum called the World Economic Forum. They churn out job market surveys, almost every year they do that. And then the one that they have for 2023 to 2027, and of course the information they have in the one for 2023 to 2027 are the ones that is going to even go beyond that 2027. And this year, this 2023 to 2027, they conducted this across 803 companies. And then they conducted this survey in 27 industry clusters. So, of course, we talk of industry, oil and gas industry, we have the manufacturing industry, we have transportation industry, education. These are all industries, about 27. And then across 45 economies from all the world regions. So Africa and countries, and of course, they anonymized the research. So you didn't see the kinds of people they interviewed in Ghana, or the companies they interviewed in Ghana. You didn't see the ones they did in Nigeria, in Tanzania, Uganda, in the US. They've anonymized them. But across 45 world economies, that is where they did that. And then the thing they found out was that the fastest growing job roles are driven by technology, digitalization, and sustainability. So if you really want to be in some of the very fastest job, the jobs that are going to move very fast in this time and the decades to come, these are the ones that you need to look at. Artificial intelligence, machine learning specialists, sustainability specialists. These sustainability guys are the ones that are doing things regarding climate change, and all that. In oil and gas, you have read and heard that there is this thing called energy transition, and of course, Nyankumagu is here. He did his national service with us at Petroleum Commission, and I'm very much happy to see him here. So the world is moving at a galactic speed from fossil fuels, and they want to move into renewables. And so they want to do away with oil and gas. Oil and gas has been the backbone of the global economic development over many decades. It is difficult to put away oil and gas, but that is what the world would want to do, because they want to get to a place where we can have very limited or zero emissions of carbon dioxide. So that is that. So sustainability specialists are in there, business intelligence analysts, information security analysts, renewable energy engineers, like those in solar, geothermal, hydroelectric, and all that. So somebody said he wanted to find out about mentioned energy transition, and all that. So there are so many other renewables that are coming in, and oil and gas companies are actually investing in them so that they can come up with other sources of energy that we can use and exnovate oil and gas. Now let's go. The survey also said that large-scale job growth is expected to be in education, agriculture, and digital commerce and trade. The large-scale job growth. So these are the job areas that are going to grow over the next decade. And we're talking about vocational education teachers and university teachers. You're talking about agri professionals and those who are in agri mechanization, using machines, to work in agri, digital transformation specialists, digital marketing jobs, and other roles in the digital space. These are going to move very strongly in the next decade. So these are the areas that you need to consider if you want to be within that arena. Fastest declining roles because of technology and digitalization. Because of technology and digitalization, a lot of job roles are going to be made redundant. So if you are here and you want to be in that area, remember that you are going to be very poor in the next few years to come if you are going to go into such roles. The jobs may not even be there for you to even make money out of that. And clerical, secretarial roles, bank tellers, related clerks, data entry clerks, postal services, cashiers, ticket clerks, all these ones. I remember one time when I was in school in Canada, and I came out from school to, my wife in case we're in Alberta, my school is in British Columbia, so there's a place called CIBC, it's a bank that we used to, bank with. So I was going to take some money from into the bank. So we got there and they realized that they put there that this bank is not operational in terms of real banking services. You can use your ATM and all that, but inside you go in there, the chairs, everything is there, everything is empty. So they took all those people, they laid some of the people off, they put some of them in other banks, and gradually they are doing that across a lot of their branches within Canada. The presence of digitalization and artificial intelligence and all this technology is moving away seriously a lot of people from these roles. So secretaries, now I don't even see secretaries anymore, of course. In the public service, I'm a public servant. We have secretaries there. You go to the private sector, you don't see secretaries anymore. The manager is the one typing in there. The officer working in whatever roles are typing their things and doing the analysis and everything. So if you want to be a secretary, sorry, it is no longer going to be there, and you are going to be as poor as a church mouse. Nee was mentioning about the fact that how are we going to build this church? It is you and I that we're going to build it. And so we need to get into jobs that will give us money to move God's kingdom forward. Do you have Ecclesiastes chapter 9 verse 16? Can you project that for me? Or they are not there? Okay. Ecclesiastes 9:16. If you have this thing, let's do it so that we can continue. It just came to mind. I just want to. Is it 9:16? Yes. Which? Yeah.
Can I for you? Yeah. NIV. Okay. Ecclesiastes chapter 9 verse 16. So I said, wisdom is better than strength, but a poor man's wisdom is despised, and his words are no longer heeded.
Amen. So the thing is that, and it is true. If you are poor, it's a disease. We should pray that we will not be poor. Hallelujah. Let's pray that God will put us into jobs and careers that will make so much money. So because you are poor, you are very rich here. You have some very wonderful ideas. But he said a poor man's wisdom is despised. So sad. You can get in some rich guy who will come in here. He will talk all the nonsense. They'll be applauding him. But it's okay. No, let's tweak what he has said a bit and do this because he has money. But the poor man is coming in and he has all the wisdom, but because there's no money, the wisdom is despised. Yeah, I'm almost done. So we have to be very careful as we are choosing careers. Largest losses of jobs are expected to be in admin roles, traditional security roles, factory and commerce roles. 26 million jobs will be lost by 2027. Record keeping, admin, cashiers, accounting, bookkeeping, payroll clerks. And it's serious. This AI thing that is coming in, and with technology, a lot of things are being done simply through technology. So these jobs, you are going to lose them in the next decade. Let's go. So, important skills for workers to acquire to be relevant in the next decade. And these are skills that I call them life skills. They are skills that are not endemic within a particular job or within a particular career. You must have this to be able to transit across careers and jobs. So today, you are an accountant, and you realize that your job is becoming redundant. You want to move into HR, or you want to move into technology, you want to move into other areas, agriculture, you want to go to the classroom and even teach. You need this: analytical thinking, critical thinking, creative thinking, resilience, flexibility, agility, curiosity, lifelong learning. You must be dependable, attention to detail, teamwork, empathy, leadership, social influence. Once you have these skills, you can move anywhere. So these are transferable skills that you can move from one job, from one career, one industry to the other. If there are any skills, of course, there are hard skills. Some hard skills are endemic within certain roles. If you're an accountant or a bookkeeper and debit and credit entries and all that, these are hard skills that are within that role. Once you move from there, you come to HR, we don't need that. You move from there, you go to the communication space, you don't need that. So all those hard skills you don't need them. There are some organizational skills that you also have, like you are in the Petroleum Commission. There'll be skills that you need, to have as to be a good regulator, to work in a regulatory environment. When you move from that, you go to, let's say, TALO, which is a commercial entity, or you move to education. You don't need those roles anymore. But these transferable ones are the ones that you need, and these are the things that employers are looking for aggressively, in people. So you can come in, sir, we want to interview some people about performance management in HR. You realize that you have some little knowledge about that, but your resilience and your critical thinking ability is outstanding. I think that we can take this guy. As for training, performance management, we can train the person to acquire the skills. But the thing that we need, that critical thinking, a lot of people are stupid, they don't think well. So if you have seen that you can do this, hallelujah, we'll take you. So you need to build capacity in these areas, so that you can have these skills and can move across. Let's go. I think we are getting there. How to remain relevant in your chosen career. Collins, we're almost done. Yeah, so always aim that you have to enhance your skills and knowledge. Plato says something that education or learning is from the womb to the tomb. You must constantly be learning. As you are in your mother's womb, you are learning. You come out into the world, you learn. And until you get to the tomb, you are learning. So make sure that continuous learning is part of everything that you do. Learn. You lay hands on articles, read. Lay hands on some surveys, learn about what the survey is saying. Read about the industry or the career that you have constantly. Once you have identified the career path you want to pursue, endeavor to know the expertise and experience you need to be relevant in that career. Once you are aware of the requirements, seek to develop your qualifications, whether through practice or through your current job, through formal training, whatever. Make sure that your learning and process of acquiring knowledge and competencies, you don't cease. You are always learning. Look up to successful professionals in your chosen career, their strength and accomplishment, and approach them. I can see that you are very good in this. I want to be like this. I'm in this career. I'm in this job. This is what I want to do. I want to be successful like you are. What do I need to do? So approach people. Ask them what has made them successful. What made them fail in some decades ago or some years back, and what has made them relevant in what they do today. Let's go. Yeah, you must get a mentor. Mentoring is very, very important. You must look out for mentors with superior levels of experience and learn from them. Ask if they will consider supporting you, advising you professionally, and things like that. You have to ask mentors specific questions about their career development and how how far they have come. And of course, they may not even be in a position. They may have maybe decided to do something else, but they didn't have the opportunity to do it, to get to the level they want to get to. But you approaching them, they say that, well, this is an area that you need to go. And I needed to have done this, but I couldn't do it. But for you, I think you can achieve it because you are young, you are resilient, you are agile, and you have that mental capacity to go there. Maybe I wouldn't have that. And so that mentor will be able to tell you that these are the things that you need to do. Let's go. Yeah. So expand your network. Attend career-related workshops, conferences, programs. Once you hear that you are a procurement person and there's some procurement conference somewhere or something about procurement, be ready and desirous to learn more about that. Learn from your acquaintances, share ideas, career planning advisors. You can contact them and see how best you can move your career forward. Let's go. We are done. So thank you very much. And I think if you have any questions, I don't know, Collins, if we can do questions now or later. Later. Okay, good. All right. So thank you very much.
Please put your hands together for him. You can do better than that. We're going to jump straight and introduce our next speaker. And after that, we'll break into the panel discussion. It's going to be a very interactive session, so you have the opportunity to ask all your questions and hear directly from them. Our next speaker is going to be telling us a bit about what recruiters look out for. His name is Kweku Edem Damanka. I hope I pronounced your name right. Edem, are you here? Put your hands together for him as he comes. He is the Group Head of Talent and Corporate Affairs at BTL Africa. Let me tell you a little bit about Edem. So he previously worked with Lene Services Limited, Dominion Theological Seminary, the University of Ghana Business School, and the HUD Group in the past. He has an MPhil in HR from the University of Ghana Business School and a BA in Sociology with Political Science from the same University of Ghana. He went to a good school. Put your hands together for him. Oh, put your hands together for him. He has been championing gender equity over the past 4 years in the marketplace and believes that an equal world is one where men and women can work alongside each other. He's also a counselor at Action Chapel International on the Spintex Road and is the founder and president of Dreams Africa, which is a youth leadership and mentoring organization. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I think he's here. Please put your hands together for him. And then we have 15 minutes. Sharp. All right, put your hands together.
Perfect. Good afternoon, Elder and all my seniors who are here to help us with today's session. All right, can I have the presentation? But before we do that, just a quick exercise. Can I have all of us stand? You've been sitting for a while. All right. Okay, just a quick exercise. All right, lift your right hand. Okay, all of us. Yeah, put your fingers together. All right, bring it to your forehead. All right, watch me and do as I say. All right, okay. And then put it on your chin. Is that your chin? I got some people getting it right. That's great. Let's clap for ourselves. All right, so the instruction was do as I say. But obviously you were all looking at me. So you were doing what I was doing instead of doing what I was telling you to do. Yes, so it's important for us to focus and listen. But that's just to tell us about communication. Communication is both body language and then speech. And as leaders or people who are aspiring to do very well, we should make sure that we have that synergy in terms of things we do. You don't want to put up one attitude and then be communicating another thing when you are searching for a job. Sometimes when people send their CVs to you and you look at it and the mail that is attached to it, the language in the mail itself puts you off and you don't want to look at their CV. A recruiter has less than 5 seconds to look at your CV because we receive hundreds of CVs every single day. So when we look at your CV, we're not going to study your CV. Hello? So when I receive your CV, I'm not going to sit down and spend an hour studying your CV. So it's your first point of engagement with the recruiter or the employer. How serious are you? How should I take you serious? So the value proposition, when I look at it, the first thing I look at the top there. What are you communicating to me? It's very important. Today we're looking at what recruiters look out for in the job market. What is the job market? Please roll with me. So basically a job market is where there's a supply and demand of talent. So in HR, on my place, we call our employees talents because that's what you are. You have certain expertise that you're bringing to the place. So the job market is where employers are looking out for potential candidates who they can employ, and candidates are looking for the businesses that they have to work for. I tell people most of the time, interview basically is a conversation for assessment. And the conversation is between the employer and you. You, the one seeking for the job, you're assessing the employer to see if this is where I want to work. Is it even a place I desire to work? And then the employer is asking, are you someone who is fit to our space to work for us? So don't go for interviews thinking that it's one way. It's never one way. It's two ways. At times you go through the interview, you do everything, and you realize, no, this is not a company for me. Because your values don't sync, your interests do not sync, the culture fit doesn't work. All right, so always have that at the back of your mind. So yes, this becomes the marketplace where we are all looking out for the talent. So you are looking for a job, we are also looking for you, so that's a marketplace. The dynamics are many. What is happening right now? It depends on the availability of jobs. It depends on the qualification of the people in the job place that we're looking out for, the skills, the wage gaps, or what wages and the economic condition presently in the country actually influences whether there are jobs opportunities or there are not job opportunities, and where you can get a job, where you cannot get a job, right? And then obviously we'll be looking at industry trend, technological advancement, and demographics within the space in which we are, right? Okay, can you roll for me? So there are two channels by which we look for jobs right now. There was the traditional way where, there's a job advertisement, there's recruitment agencies, job fairs, and then we all go for interviews and all of that. Now, with internet and the internet and technology, we can access such opportunities even on the internet. So we have online sites, career websites, and professional networking platforms that you can just put your CVs out there and you are likely to get a job, right? So these are all avenues that we're exploring. Now, why is the conversation we're having important? It's important because you need to know what's happening in the marketplace so you can better prepare yourself and position yourself to get the job that you are looking out for. In the same way, it's relevant to employers as well, because we need to know what is going on with the talent that we are looking out for. Interesting conversation going on, and probably later on we can have a conversation around it about the Gen X, Gen Zs, and then the Alpha generation. Totally different expectations when it comes to the employees or the talent we are looking out for. What they are looking out for is totally different from what our fathers were looking out for. Our fathers were hard workers, very respectful. They think about job security. They were loyal to places they work. They could work there for 10 years, 15 years. They are still there. This generation, lie, 2 years, 3 years, is jumping onto the next job. Differences, and we can talk about that later on. But yes, it's important for us to understand this. So let's look at some statistics. The labor force participation rate in Ghana presently is 76%. Let me not bore you with it, but it's important for you to know what is happening in Ghana. And sometimes people look at statistics like, the numbers are too, can we go on? But it's important for you to know what is going on, because then it gives you an idea of where the opportunities are and what you should be training for, what you should be going to school for, the background you need to be able to make do with the jobs in the marketplace, right? But Ghana, largely informal sector seems to dominate in terms of employment. And then you go to the agri sector and then the service sector presently, that's what is happening. The industrial sector is about just 10%, right? But yeah, this is the reality of where we are in Ghana. So when you're looking out for a job, you want to know what the stats are saying. Okay, let's move on. Yeah, so these are some of the challenges in the jobs place presently in Ghana. High unemployment rate, high level of informal work, right? Lack of skilled laborers. So we hear people say, there are no jobs in Ghana, really. And when you talk to employers and recruiters, they will tell you there are no skilled talent in the jobs place. I said, but we've gone to school, we've gone degrees, first class, second class, and there are no jobs there. Well, employers primarily don't recruit people or employ people simply because they've earned a degree, or you've gone to school, you have first class or diploma. No, we're actually employing you for the skills you have acquired. We'll touch a little bit on that briefly. So lack of access to credit, because those who want to be entrepreneurs, they want to go to the bank, get some loans, do their own thing. But yeah, it's limited presently, right? Poor infrastructure, the high cost of living. We all living in it right now. People want to leave Ghana because they say the jobs are not here, there's high cost of living. Right, so what do employers want? I'm lucky to have Elder touch on some things. So when I get there, I may not spend so much time on it, right? But yes, the first thing employers want is technical skills. We're talking about technical know-how. There are specific jobs that require technical know-how. If you don't have it, you don't have it. When you go to do accounting, they teach you about accounting principles, right? They teach you about technical skills in accounting. If I'm not an accountant, I can do something, but I can't do it as well as an accountant, because these are technical specific jobs. I hope you're with me. We've heard in the past people say, I'm a people person, so I can do HR. It's not true. That is administrative HR in the past. We can talk about that. But HR requires technical skills. You need to even have an eye of a recruiter to be able to spot out the right candidate, right? So it's not just a people-person conversation. No, performance management. How do you make sure that employees are high performance in the workplace when you have to put people on performance improvement programs to get them coaching for people and all of that? It's a requirement. Are you a trainer? Do you understand the training process, the need for you to do training assessment, the needs, and then, analyze the data? Analytics is important. So every job role has its technical skills requirement. I hope you're with me. So you don't go to the job place just looking for jobs. So we see people send in their CVs for jobs, and they have no qualification, no background, no experience, no knowledge in what they are applying for. But just because the role has been advertised, they throw in their CV. So we say we want to recruit a procurement person. I'm looking for a job, so I throw my CV in there. The chances of you being picked is even nil, because all that you have is not related to the job in any way. It's a technical requirement. So first and foremost, you want to make sure you have the technical requirement. Yes, obviously that's where school helps. So you go and do the education. But beyond the education, get a job. So people say some of the times that, okay, I see job roles and they're asking for 1 year experience, 2 years experience, 3 years experience. Where do these people want us to have their experience from when they don't want to employ us? And I laugh at it, because really, what you are failing to understand is that what they are asking for in that particular statement of a year, 2 years, 3 years, it's not just about the years. They're talking about your capacity, the know-how, the practical knowledge that you have, and application. Now, how many years do you do in the university presently? 4 years. Good, thank you. Now, how many times do you go on vacations? Say again. Some 2 months, sometimes 3 months, depending on where you are, right? And sometimes a month. But you do that from first year to the final year. Truth of the matter is that if every vacation you decide to do internship, you're likely to acquire the skills that are required of you for a particular job. If you were a finance person and you started learning finance in school, be it Polytechnic, be it the university, wherever you're doing a professional program, and you decide, okay, Barclays, this year, as we vacated, I want to do internship, and it's 2 months, 3 months. When you go to the finance department, the finance manager is likely to assign some things to you that you are now learning at school, that you can have the practical experience with, right? I like to use because HR, so if we were doing a recruitment and you are doing an attachment with us or you're doing an internship with us, you're going to be involved in the process. We tell you, okay, publish this role for us, and you go do that. When we shortlist and we're teaching you how do you shortlist, we tell you what to do to shortlist the people from the pool of talent that has come through, right? We may give you opportunity to schedule the interviews, call the people. What are you doing? You are learning the job, how to do it. I hope you're with me. So you don't come out of school not knowing how to do it. If we're doing training, we're administering the pre-training assessment, we will show you how to do it, you learn it. Now you go back to school, even your knowledge is richer, because now when your teacher is teaching or your lecturer is, you can speak to it because you have an experience with what we're talking about. And that's why master's program, most of the time, they'll ask for industry experience, because then they want you to make a contribution to the class itself. It's more effective that way. Are you with me? Now, so if you did that the first 2 months or first month, and then you go back to school, there's another vacation. You've done about 2-3 months, there's another vacation. By the time you are out of school, I can bet you can have 1 year experience. How many of you know that? Yeah, because if you put the months together, you might have add up to 1 year. Now you go to do national service, and you have to be intentional about choosing your national service. Some of you just wait for you to be posted anywhere, right? But you can network. You can actually start that conversation. If you were doing internship, you can even talk to your boss that, when I finish, I would want to come and do my national service here because I've learned so much and I want to continue in that same cycle. Now, what happens is that if you do your national service, usually how many years? 1 year, obviously, By the time you're done with that and what you did whilst you were in school, how many years of experience do you have? 2 years experience. So when you say that when they're asking for 2 years experience or year experience, where do they want us to have it? We want you to go and have it in the industry. I hope you're with me. And those who are serious usually do this. By the time they're coming out, so if I had interview with 2 graduates, and one has done all of these things, when I'm talking to them, I can see the difference. Because one is speaking with practical knowledge and wisdom and has made decisions. He understands the challenges of the corporate world. Because corporate world is not the same as how it is that you go for lecture. You know, Charlie, lecture is in 30 minutes. Charlie, jump out of bed, you put your shirt on, and you're running into the lecture hall. It's not the same thing. The expectations are different, right? So technical skills is important, and you learn it on the job, and you practice it on the job. So please do internships. Are we together? Are we good? Sorry, if you've already completed school, there's still opportunity for you. That's something we call volunteering. He talked about mentorship. Your mentor has a project. He said, can I volunteer? Can I be on this project? Because I can learn some things on the job. I hope you're with me. So that's how you make sure that you're making up for the technical skill. Then soft skills, very important. Again, when we're having this, when you were organizing this program, which is the conference we're having right now, the summit or workshop, however you want to call it, the question I want to ask you is, how many of you were involved in planning? How many of you were involved in publicity? How many of you were involved in ideation, strategizing? These are skills, problem solving, communication. These are skills that you can earn whilst you're supporting projects like this. Because that's one of the things that employers look out for. Because then you develop your confidence, you develop your communication skills, you develop your problem-solving skills, you develop your critical thinking skills, which Elder talked about, so I'm not going to go into all of that. But yes, you need to develop it, right? Some of you are so good, I can bet if I give you a job, you do well. The only problem is that you cannot communicate your worth and what you can do. So I give you the opportunity for an interview, and you fail. And actually, sometimes when you're done, people are like, I beg you, just give me a chance. No, you can only have that chance if you communicated very well with me. Sometimes, yes, out of the lot, somehow, grace, favor, we talk in church, so finds you, and then, you get opportunity to prove yourself. But if you don't, this is what helps you, your ability to communicate effectively. There are some also who don't know how to do anything, but they can talk to you. They are salespeople, good people. And actually, sometimes you take them because of the confidence they've shown, but with time, they have to prove themselves by learning to do the things that they say they can do. Right? So technical skills, that's another thing we look out for. Then culture fit. Culture fit is important. So we don't just recruit because you're applying for a job. We want to know if you are the fit for the job. And when we talk about fit, what are your values? What are your interests? Are they aligned with what the business wants to do, our vision, our values, our missions, what we stand for, right? Is this the same thing you stand for? So we're talking about culture fit, right? That's very important. Sometimes you see on job ads, they say, this is a fast-paced environment. And usually you go in for interviews and interviewing people. So, oh, yeah, I can work under pressure. See, it's not just a company trying to tell you. That is what the organization is about. That's what happens. Work is fast-paced. The speed in the system. The project they work on sometimes is back to back to back to back to back to back. So they need people who can withstand that kind of pressure of work. And say, oh, yeah, I can do it. And then they get in and say, hey, this place, there's pressure. Oh. But you were told. But because you want job, you say anything, anywhere, just to get it in there. But there are some environments that are also very slow-paced. And if you're a fast-paced person, you may not survive there because work is slow for you. I remember when I was doing my national service, I was posted to Sunyani, and it was a social welfare department. When I got there, I was all these suits up and all of that. I got there. When I met my supervisor, he said, you don't belong here. I said, what do you mean by that? He said, when I saw you, even the way you were dressed, I said, you are coming to waste your potential in Sunyani. I said, oh, but I really want to work. He says, yes, I understand your mindset. It's good. And the way you dressed, but truthfully here, there's no work. The work we do is monthly, right? So you're going to sit in the office for the whole month, not doing much. Getting to the end of the month, we go to the field, we do reporting and all of that, and that's all. Within the month, we do 1, 2, 3 works, but that's all. Somebody will say, hey, but that's an opportunity for you to do other things. Well, integrity is important as well. So what do? He actually organized for me. There was a private company that they were working for. They do this microcredit and all of that. They audit their work as well. So he spoke to them so that I could get some work there, additional work to be doing, because he said he doesn't want to waste my time here. So some places are also very slow-paced like that. And there are people who are cool with that. truthfully, by 3 o'clock, everybody had left work. He says, Eric, I told you, here, it's not a good place for you. And Sunyani itself is a very calm town. If you want holidays, go to Sunyani. You'll do well. Like, just go relax. The atmosphere, the air, it's cool. No traffic. Everywhere you go, there's taxi. Just stand by the road. Within 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you're at work. So that's how the place was. I remember when I came back to Accra, that after 6 months, my phone was stolen. Because when I got to Circle, by the time I realized somebody picked my phone. Yes, because Accra is busy. But I was adapted to a very slow, calm environment, and everything is cool, peaceful like that, right? My point is that culture fit is important. Yes, can you roll for me? So you want to ask yourself, are you an independent-minded person, worker, or you are team-driven? Again, culture fit. So if you are an independent worker and you go to a business where work requires that you work in teamwork, you're going to have problems. Because you are not binding with the team, you are not bonding with them. Work is calling you, and you are there being all independent. It's not your space to work in. So some of the mental fatigue we have, some of the stress, is also because people are not culturally fit to the work environment. Then organizations want you to be passionate, right? Enthusiasm. Because if you don't have passion for what you're doing, there will be no motivation for you to wake up any morning to go to work. So some people are stuck in jobs they are not passionate about. And they are actually complaining about the job, and they are complaining about their employers, not because the employers have problems, just because that's not where their passion lies. But they found themselves stuck in there. Question is that you need to find what you're passionate about and doing. I think Elder talked much about that, career choices. So what are you passionate about? It's important. It fits into that conversation, right? And then we want you to be industry aware. We talk about industry awareness and the market knowledge, right? So if you want to work in the oil and gas field, what do you know about the oil and gas field, really? How are you following the trends, things that are happening in that space? You want to work in the banking sector. Industry knowledge is important. Because when I'm talking to you and I realize that, you really know stuff. It's not just even Ghana. You're not limited to Ghana. Globally, you have an understanding of what is happening in the stock market, what's happening financially, the economic system of Ghana. Like, you have understanding of what's happening, Bank of Ghana, what's going on in there. Like, I'm satisfied to get you on my team, right? Because you make up for things that I'm not able to do myself. And people want people who add to them the value you are bringing to the team. And sometimes at the top, you can be swamped with work, and somebody can provide you support. We say we staff our weakness, because then you want people who can do things that helps make your work easier for you at the workplace, at the top, right? So it's important. You want to. So I understand that this generation, we want the soft life. That's what I was talking about. The soft life, which is fine, provided you are apt with what you need to do. That is cool. But if you now, Charlie, I engage you, I realize, the knowledge is not there, and you want soft life, I have a problem with you, right? But if you are that kind of person, you know your stuff, and you want the soft life, I can employ you. And those people, sometimes we make exceptions for them. Even when they are negotiating for salaries, and you can sometimes, because you know this guy is good, if we keep him for the next 3 years, the stuff he's going to do is fine, so we can risk it. So those are the exceptional talents in the space, right? So it's important for you to make yourself, very knowledgeable of what's happening. And then commercial awareness. Many people don't think about the profitability of business or how the business makes revenue. All you think about is that you want to go to work, and then at the end of the month, they pay you. No, but businesses and employers want to know how you think about how the business is making profits. Because when you understand how business makes profit, the attitude with which you do your work changes. You don't cause so much waste in the system. So when we're giving instructions and policies about how you work professionally in the workplace, you don't have problems because you have an understanding that we need to save costs, we need to make more money, because the business, through the revenue that is coming in, would pay for the office space, will be paying our salaries. By the end of the month, every employer is thinking about, hey, Charlie, we have to pay again, right? So if you have that understanding, you put some sense of profitability into what you do. And business owners love people like that. Unfortunately, we have a negative narrative around that. When you work like that, people ask you, Aden, papa dear. But that's a sense of ownership that employers want. Entrepreneurial, spirit-driven person, like who is thinking about the future of the business, the continuity of the business. Employers love people like that. So you want to invest in that part of your work as well. Please, can we roll it up? All right. Then we want cultural agility, especially in this season of change, or if I would say era of change, technological advancement. Great, thank you. Right? So much changing so quickly. We want people who are adaptive, who are mentally agile. You can fit into the space, and when you have to change quickly, you are already on the spot to change. There are people who resist change because they love comfort. But work is so much changing that we always need to make change and adapt. Otherwise, as a business itself, we may fall out of business. You can know the story. You know the stories of High. How many of you know High Five? High Five came before Facebook. But what happened to High Five? How many of you know Kodak? How many of you know BlackBerry? You know all of these things. But adaptability, change. So businesses themselves are thinking about how they can change and survive. BlackBerry didn't see the change. It didn't anticipate it. It didn't take advantage of it. Apple did, and Apple is now everywhere. And Apple is always constantly changing. They're actually studying the market demand. They're actually trying to put the demand in the market. So people now actually, are drawn to the product itself. The question is that, what are you doing in terms of being adaptable? Are you the person who is stick to it and you can make adjustments because this is what you are told, that's what you are sticking to? No innovation, no creativity, no thinking outside the box. It's an important skill that we're looking out for. Then attitude, professional attitude at work. Someone would tell you, that employers go the extent to look at what is happening on your social media space. Now, it's not really about spying on you. That's not it. But it's a data that can be generated from what you've done, your activities so far, to be able to analyze to see your behavior. HR, one of the things we do is behavioral observance, right? So by that, if the person is good in data analytics and all of that, they can pick up, insights to guide them about what kind of person you are, right? So it's important. Yes, always there is that deviation in there. People are putting things on social media which is not reflective of them as well. So yes, there's that sense of judgment that is attached to analyzing data. But my point is that your professionalism and work ethics is important. Because once you get into a business, what you need to know is that indirectly you begin to represent the brand of the business. I hope you're with me. That is why when your personal life sometimes becomes an ethical issue for the business sometimes suffers. Because your name is out there. The next thing they will say what? The finance manager or the procurement manager of this business. And they go, those people, it's a brand. So businesses want to protect their brand. So you can't just act anyhow, live anyhow, and still be part of a particular business. Sometimes they will look at all those things to make a decision on you. Then, relevant work experience, I've touched on it. That's when I was talking about the internship and the capacity and all of that, right? Then, as much as we put so much weight, so this is where you need to understand it, we put so much weight on experience than education. That's true. Many of you don't know that, or many of you don't want to accept that, but that's what it is. Because an employer is not in there for your qualification. He's in there for the skill you're bringing to the job place. And the anticipation is that when you go to school, you have so much knowledge to bring to the workplace. So if you come, you graduate, you have first class, but your knowledge is not apt to what is required at the job place, you are of no relevance to the job place. Right? So when we're looking at qualification, we also want to look at the relevant degrees you have in relation to the job you're coming to do. What professional certifications do you have that is relevant to the job place? And for those of you in finance and accounting, your professional certificates have so much weight than just the degree. It's because it's believed that through that you have practical experience to bring to the job place. So those who charter, really sometimes they are expensive. So if you have the opportunity whilst you are in first year, wherever you are, you should want to be doing professional certification. Any other profession that does professional certification, please take it serious. and put some attachment to it and do that, all right? Okay, roll it for me. All right, so the generations and the job types, that's what I mentioned. We can have that conversation later on. But what are Gen Zs looking out for? What are the Gen X looking out for? The Alpha are those born from 20 to 10. Yeah, so we are now trying to figure our way out for them, going into the 2025 and all of that. Yeah, but there's a uniqueness in all of these things. And when you go into the workplace, you want to be able to understand, because otherwise, those of you, Gen Z, millennials, and all of those things, if you don't understand the older generation who we're going to meet at the workplace, you have problems always. Because then you are so disrespectful. You may not have the opportunity to be promoted, because you think everything is fine. Oh, Alex, yeah, it's fine. The workplace, that's what we expect. But cultural sensitivity, Ghana is not the same as America. We want to standardize things, obviously, but some people have not come to terms with it yet. So what do you need to do as a young man who aspires to climb the corporate ladder? You need to be wise, right? You need to be shrewd in your ways. You can't just say, if they don't, I also don't care. No, because then you are going to lose opportunity. That man there, he thinks so much about his respect. If you want to call me, address me well. Brother, senior, elder, mister. And you said, oh, it's a new generation. So, Linda, when I was born, where were you? So it's important for you to understand these dynamics so you can grow quickly. Because then if you respect that person, you treat him with the wealth of knowledge he has. 15 years working in this industry, and even in this job, and you are just coming in. There's something he knows that you don't know. Obviously. Right? And what does he hurt if you can humble yourself, make some adjustments in terms of lifestyle and values and all of those things, and just learn? Ethics of learning is important. But we're saying that, yes, this is also for most of us employers as well, because then we need to study the trend and see how it's going to be. Because, yes, there are people who are not staying so long with us. What do they really want? We need to have that conversation of what they want and how can we make adjustments in the workplace to make room for them as well so that they can contribute value to the workplace itself. So these are conversations that are ongoing. But, yes, I hope that I've touched on most of the relevant things that you need to take into consideration when applying for a job. We can talk about your CV and how to restructure it. But at best, make sure when you are structuring your CV, you put at the top the value proposition. It's a summary of your skill sets, what you are bringing to the job. We talk about the elevator pitch, more or less. If you met somebody you would love to work for in an elevator, and you have about just 5 seconds, what are you going to tell the person? That's very important, right? I came and I met Sylvia. Sylvia was back there when I came, and then she offered me water. It was a water she was drinking. She said, I can give it to you. And then we exchanged, and later on she was like, when you were speaking, I realized from your voice that you are somebody who may be a big man. I say, that's why you want to talk to me now. But I didn't say that. But I was happy about the approach. So she was like, when I meet people, I want to tell them about what I do. Because then if there was opportunity, I'm sure they can offer. I love that, because then she was pitching. And that's important. How many of us meet people and we don't have opportunity to pitch to them? Let them know what we are good at. Right? Joseph understood that in the Bible. When he was in prison, he was interpreting dreams. And when the guys were going, he said, remember me when you go up there. And when they got up there, they made recommendation for him. That is pitching. Learn to pitch. Thank you.
Can we do it better? Right. One of the things I hate, is when we're having some of these sessions, and then because of time, we have to, because you have to signal the speaker that Charlie. But you two, your parts. Your parts. I think we say one. Then one, some people are still relaxed because that's drizzled small. But if you had American visa appointment at 1, you would have stood in the rain to wait for your turn. True or false? Yeah, because you're here, you're saying false, but you and I know it's true. If you've ever passed there on a rainy day, you understand what I'm saying. In the rain, quote unquote, big men, they've lined up and they'll wait in the rain because if you shift, somebody will take your slot. So you want to be there, 5 a.m. So please, it's also part of getting ready for the job market too, being punctual or HR professionals. But it's very, very important. So let's try and then be doing that going forward. I think we should give our speaker yet another round of applause. Very, very seemingly apt, but very, very deep, has a lot of weight. And he was going to go on to explain to us what the various generations are and how to understand them. And I think that's a very critical part of knowing what to do in the days going forward. But I'm hopeful that we have another opportunity and then we can have another conversation. Thankfully, the CEO of PIWC Sakumono is here, so we can lobby for another opportunity one of these days. Papa, God bless you. He officiated the wedding this morning. In fact, the naming ceremony before, then the wedding. And even he, who will not be using his CV to go and look for a job, he's here. I'm speaking to those online. It's not those of you who are here. All right, so let's give ourselves another round of applause. Can we be on our feet? We've been sitting for a while. Let's do this very quickly, then we break into our panel discussion before we move on to the final bit. Okay, so since we are doing career, we want to do some spelling. How many of you know how to spell cocoa? When it comes like this, then I'm not sure whether the spelling you know is correct or wrong. What's the now calculating with him? Hey, how many of you know how to spell cocoa? Let me see by hand. You are not sure that the spelling you know is correct. Hello? You are looking for jobs. You don't know how to spell cocoa. All right, so let's put our hands on our waist. We are going to use our waist to spell the cocoa. So put your hands on your waist. Want to stretch a bit. Aha. If you are not sure where your waist is to, that one too is on to you. Aha, so let's see how you're going to spell C with your waist. Let's go. And then O. Another C. Then O again. Then the last one is my favorite, the A. Let's see how you do it. Some people have been writing I from beginning to end. Because they are just doing this. C. Oh, please take your seats. All right, thank you very, very much. So we're live on the PIWC Sakumono platform on Facebook and on YouTube. And so if you can do in 1 second, can you kindly go there and share as well so that other people can join in? Meanwhile, I want to invite all our speakers to kindly, we're contemplating whether to bring the chairs closer so that we have it. Well, how do you want it? Because of the vision, okay, they say that we have to keep it at the top. So our honorable panelists, kindly please take up your seats in no particular order. Oh, are you clapping or you are clapping? Yeah. Be clapping. City Pie, please. Yes, please. I'm sure some people are climbing and then you're asking yourself, hey, so all these people are big men and women. They are all here with you. Aha. Fantastic. Please, can you kindly come here so that, I don't like this. The Pentecost sitting there, I don't like it. Fantastic. Yes. So, I am honored to be the MC, but we also are honored to have another facilitator cum speaker in the person of Yvonne Champon. And Yvonne is also with us here in PIWC Sakumono. You want to give her a round of applause? Yes, so I'm going to hand over to Yvonne. Yvonne is going to be championing this segment, and so we're going to give her all the support that we can. And then, we haven't asked you for questions or anything yet. It's very intentional. We are hopeful that eventually, when we are done with everything, you can. But even whilst this section is going on, we are also going to try to engage the audience. So Yvonne, over to you from PIWC News Section 1.
Thank you, Ni. So, I don't want to stay here. I'm going to hand this mic over to Enoch, and then I'll take your mic. Hello? Okay. So that I can move between here and there. So this is going to be a very interactive session. We don't want this to be a speech and prize giving day, where we give you speeches and you nod and you go home and that is it. I want to take your contributions and feed that into the discussion that we'll be having today. Are you here? Are you happy to be here? We know it's cold, but don't worry. We're going to have a hot session. Okay, so my name is Yvonne Champong. Thank you, Ni, for the introduction. I work in marketing and communications, and later when we break into the breakout sessions, we'll be able to have some more conversations around that. But today we want to talk about a few things. I'm also a member of the PIWC Sakomono. I don't know if this is the first time you are coming here, you are welcome. We invite you to stay. Okay, so we have a few things that we want to talk about today. We want to talk about securing your first job or your next job. We want to talk about switching sectors. I think there's some echoing. We want to talk about the role of career coaches and mentors, exploring opportunities in international development, the impact of AI on the job market over the next decade, and then balancing your career interests with the needs of the job market. So on my panel today, we have some VVVVIPs. We have Enoch Abase, who is the Principal Applications Architect at For Sure Technologies in South Africa. Put your hands together for him. Enoch, wave. All right. We have Edward Apia Brafo, Human Resources Advisor, Exclusive Concepts, Canada. Please put your hands together for him. We have Kweku Edem Damanka, Group Head of Talent and Corporate Affairs at BTL Africa. Put your hands together for him. And last but definitely not least, we have Mame Anko Tebua, who is an energy specialist with the World Bank. Wow. World Bank money is in the building. Are you happy you are here? You have to locate her afterwards and say, give me some of that World Bank money. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for agreeing to sit on our panel today. We are going to make this interesting. So I will ask a few questions, but I also want you to participate, okay? All right, the first thing we're going to be talking about is securing your first or your next job. How many of you are in your first jobs or have started working? Oh, people, are you here? First job, first job, first job. How many of you are looking to go into your first job? Okay, how many of you are looking to switch jobs? Sharp. Yeah. I've taken pictures of all of you. Your employers will hear about this. Okay, so let me ask one very controversial question. What are some of the most popular mistakes that people make during job interviews? Adam, I want you to attempt to answer that question, and then Mr. Apiabref will also try and answer that one. Mike?
Hello? Okay.
Oh. All right. You know what? I actually wanted to hear from her first. That's why I gave her the mic.
Don't worry, I'll
now
come
you
to
brought
her.
it back to
Yes,
me.
yes.
All right. I think one of the first has to do with people being too obsessive about what they want from the job instead of what they are bringing to the employer. Because the employer wants to employ you because of the value you're bringing. But people mostly focus, or sometimes just focus on what they want out of the job.
Okay.
And that's the one major mistake that many people make.
Okay. Thank you, Eden.
Yes.
Sapia, what about you? What do you think?
Yeah. Another mistake people do make is complete unpreparedness for the interview. Unpreparedness in the sense that they would have, if let's say it's HR, they would have learned the very technical areas in HR. You know, if you ask them what is recruitment and selection, they want to tell you how do you do performance management, they want to say. But the kind of research that they need to do or conduct about the organization for which they would want to work, they don't do that. So normally one of the things I ask in an interview panel when you come, I say that, well, what is the vision of this organization you want to work for? You know, of course, there is the mission, there's the vision, and the values. I ask the vision and ask the values because you are joining an organization where if you don't share in the vision of the organization and you don't share in their values, you have no business joining them at all. And so I would want to see whether you coming on board, whether you share in our vision. As for our mission, it is our reason of existence. That is the reason why we exist. You can't change that. You know, if government says that we should be set up to regulate the industry, oil and gas industry, you can't change that unless Parliament changes it. But for the vision, I have crafted what I want to do between the next 5, 10, 15 years. Do you share in my vision? And the values that I have, which actually drive the culture of the organization, do you share in those values for which you can share in the culture that we want to build, we want to drive? People don't come in, they as he said, what they want from the organization. I want a job, give me and pay me, but what are you bringing on board? Do you share in what we also share, that we can all have this journey together? So that is one big mistake that people do. They don't really research about the organization, what they espouse to be, and how the culture of the organization is being driven.
All right, thank you. I'm coming to the audience. Some of you said you are looking for your first job. Am I right? Or you are looking to switch jobs. It means that you have to sit through an interview. What are some of the ways that you prepare for an interview? We're looking at switching jobs or starting a new job. Some of you are not looking at my face. If you can't look at me, how will you look at the interviewer? How do you prepare for an interview? Imadebra, since you are close to me, let me give you the mic.
So the first thing would be to go to the company's website to read about the company, what they are doing in the marketplace, what their values are. Maybe look at also who works there. You know, for some of the companies, they publish maybe their board or something like that. Just find out a little bit more about that. Obviously, I also look at some maybe recent questions that are likely to be asked me so that I prepare as well. In that line.
Thank you, man. Put your hands together for him. Iman said something very interesting. He says, likely questions. When you are writing an exam, or when you know you're about to write an exam, what do you do to prepare? You look at some of the past questions, isn't it? You look at past questions that have been set. And sometimes you realize that some of the past questions appear. They repeat the questions. My opinion is that job interviews usually take the same format, more or less. There are certain questions that it will come. There are points there already. What are some of these questions? Tell me about yourself. Tell me about yourself. If I ask you to tell me about yourself, what would you say? What are some of the most important things that you must say when someone asks you, tell me about yourself? Enoch, what do you think? I'll come back to you guys. Please start preparing because some of you have to answer that question. If you don't look at my face, I'll bring you the mic, so look at my face.
Okay, cool. So this is a very important thing. Remember that when an employer is asking you this question, this is the very first time the employer is interacting with you. What you tell the employer is very important here because this is the first impression. The employer doesn't know you before this. And I believe most of the time, the employer is not just listening to the answers coming from you. Sometimes the way you answer it is also very important. The confidence that you put in is very, very important. But when it comes to what you say, remember that a very important thing is the employer wants to know your personality. How does that help him? When you get to the table, the employer is always looking for how the conversation will end up him saying, wow, this is the guy I want. Because remember that after you, the employer is going to sit another interview. Maybe he's coming from another one. So the employer here wants to make sure that this guy is the person that I want. His experiences, the way he speaks, the kind of projects he's done before. Do these things align with what I want? Okay, so you definitely have to let the employer know that you know your stuff. That's for sure. You have to let the employer know that, yeah, you can do the job. Among others, personality-wise, you need to make sure that you put out the best of yourself, the way you speak and all that. I'm going to say something funny. I think we are all actors. Believe me, you have to act very well. And when I say we are all actors, what I mean is that there might be something about you that might not really help. For example, someone say, I'm an introvert. On the interview, if you prove that you are introvert, what you're trying to tell the employer is that maybe you might not really help me here. So even if you are an introvert, just at that table, put in enough confidence, speak more about yourself. Don't talk about things that are not relevant. Talk about things that are related to the work, the kind of projects you've done, how the things you did helped either your previous employer or something like that. And obviously, it's going to follow up with, why did you leave your employer? Because he's so much interested in how you are going to benefit him. So the way you put up yourself, I think is very important.
Thank you. Now put your hands together for him. Now, he said something very interesting. He said, don't talk about irrelevant things. Talk about what you have done, how they have helped your previous or your current place of work, and basically how you want to translate that into this new opportunity. About 2 days ago, I had to conduct a phone interview, and I said to the lady, tell me about yourself. When I finished telling you what she said, I want you to tell me what you think about what she said. She said, my name is, let's say, Amasewa. I am 24 years old. I am an Akan. I am a Christian. I have 3 brothers and 2 sisters. And basically, I've worked in she said, and I said to myself, yeah, throw myself and I say, Pejuma. What do you think about this? Do you think it's important for someone to tell you about their family background and their tribe and their family and their religion? I'm bringing you the mic. What do you think? Tell me. Go and take my mic.
Okay, I think it's irrelevant.
She said she thinks it's irrelevant. Do we think this information is relevant or irrelevant? Okay, I see a hand.
Okay, so I think it's relevant in a way, because sometimes the names of your parents can even open doors for you. Yes. The names of your parents can open doors for you. So I think sometimes it is relevant. Thank you.
Well, my father is dead, so I can't speak for the rest.
Sometimes I think it depends on the organization that is interviewing you. I've had an interview in a bank when I started with the normal, I am this and that. The manager just stopped me. Tell me about yourself. Where do you stay? Where do you go to church? So I became confused for a bit because I had done the rehearsal. But I realized he was more interested in my personal life before he went on to the normal thing that we do. So it depends on the organization.
All right. I see a hand here.
Thank you. I think it also depends on the situation. In my opinion, I'll quickly say it's not really relevant. But then again, when you're going for an interview, you have to do a lot of research. So for some interviews, you get to see the people who will be interviewing you. So when probably you see a name, maybe on your interview, they said they've scheduled it for a certain day and they've written Mr. Enoch Abase. You probably use LinkedIn, check, you realize he has been to this conference before, and maybe you were there, or he goes to this church and you go to the same church by a different branch, or you are both alumni of the same school or something. You can then slot in those things in your tell me about yourself, and that's when it might be more relevant. Otherwise, I would straightforward say that it's not really relevant to say you're a Khan and all of those things.
Okay. So before we move on, there's a hand here. I'll come right there. We only have 30 minutes for this, so I'll come to you with my next question. So, Mami, I'm coming to you very quickly, but just to add to what the gentleman just said, I think you always have to read the room. Because especially if you are looking at working for an international organization, or, you are not looking to, forgive me, but work in some small ministry's corner somewhere, you do not want to put yourself at risk for discrimination. If I belong to a certain tribe and you want to start by saying, I am this, and my tribe does not like your tribe, you're already setting yourself up for this potential discrimination, even if I don't tell you. So unless it is of utmost relevance, my suggestion is that keep it to the work that you have done. And unless the person says to you, tell me about your personality, or tell me about your personal life, where do you come from? Unless those questions are asked, do not turn that tell me about yourself question into a myself essay. Because you are here to talk about work. The work will not be about your tribe and your family. And it does not matter who your parents are. Mami, what is the right way to answer this question? Why do you want to leave your current place of work? Sometimes when you want to switch jobs, they will ask you. And some people will say, oh, my boss, you don't worry. So how do you answer such a question?
Okay, I don't think there's a right or wrong to this question. I think it's very dependent on the specific job you are applying for. So it all depends on how you answer it, right? So what the thought behind it is to understand what is driving you for the next job. So the thought behind it is for the interviewer to understand what is driving you for this job. Obviously, if you were sacked in your previous job, you're not going to say that, oh, I was sacked or something like that. So it has to be relevant information that would help towards the job you're looking for. So maybe a typical example would be I'll give you an example from my experience, because everybody's experience is different. So when I left my first company for my second, the very first job for my second job, the reason why I left was to explore other opportunities and build my capacity. So if that's the reason why you left, you have to say it. And so, again, it's very dependent on experience, but the answer should be towards improving your chances for the job you are applying for.
Thank you, Rami. So this is not the place to lambast your current place of employment. This is not the place to talk about all the bad things that are happening, because what you are telling your employer in that situation is that one day, when you are in your next, if I take you and you want to switch jobs, you will equally go and sit in the session and tell them how I am a horrible employer. So, like Mami has said, let it be forward-looking about what you are looking to achieve in the job versus what is wrong in your current place of work. And also, that's not the place to say, because I want to earn more money. And should we say it? Adam, should we just say it? Should we be honest and say, because I'm looking for more money and you pay more? Should we say that?
Well, it depends. But yes, sometimes forthrightness is important. Some people, that's what it is. I mean, so, example, if you were poaching someone and the person is comfortable where he is, like job is fine, you're the one looking for him. The only thing that moves him is more money. So yeah, he may tell you forthright that it's the money. But I wanted to answer the first question you were asking, and I love the dimension by which most of us picked it. George spoke about it. But that's more about a formal kind of an interview. There are informal interviews, and I remember the first job that I actually interviewed for, it was an informal conversation that we had. So there are out-of-office interviews and conversations. Sometimes it's a restaurant. You don't even know that you've been interviewed, right? It's a conversation. But the person that is recruiting is using that informal setting to actually observe you. Because we actually believe that the best way to interview people is to make it conversational. Because then they lose their guards and they begin to talk. That's when you really know who they are. So, like every other person said, the relevancy is important. The first job interview I went for, it was going to be a client service. It's an HR role, actually. But then she wanted to test, I didn't even know that's what she was doing, how I engage with clients. So when I got to the office, she was eating burning katia, all right? It was all over the table. Then she offered me, let them eat, right? You know what a burning katia is like, what's this? How do you call it? Yvonne, help me. You know, and then there was banana, and there was granite, and then there was Alvaro, all spread on the table. Then she said, Adam, eat. And I was like, oh, I'm fine. I was all dressed up, and she says, okay. Then she opened the laptop. There was some project they were working on. So she opened it up to me, and then she says, this is a project we're working on. Do you have some ideas? I was like, for a moment, I was like, I came for an interview. Why is this woman doing all of this? You know? So, yeah, I contributed some ideas. I typed some things onto the machine and all of that. Then after, she started asking general questions about my life, where I schooled, what I did, and all of that. And when she was done, she was like, yeah, we're done with the interview. I was like, just like that? She said, yes. And she thinks I'm qualified, so I should start work the following, that's I finished national service, the following Monday. And now I had to make a decision, whether I wanted the job or not, you know. Then again, it was about cultural fitness, because then when I went there, and I don't know, I'm not saying this to badmouth them, but I'm talking about cultural fitness. So when I went there, and companies allow it, there are companies where they've designated places for people to smoke. So you can go and smoke and then come back to work. At the end of the day, what they're looking out for is your productivity. So the global companies make room for that. I've been to some business which they do that. But I think that was when I was just starting off with searching for a job, right? And when I entered, that was what I saw. The people were all smoking all over. So at that point, I was like, nah, I'm not going to take this job. But I'm just saying, there are different ways of interviewing. There are formal interview sessions. There are informal sessions, depending on what the employer is looking out for. So please don't leave here saying that we say, don't talk about yourself when you are asked about yourself. Because somebody can go for an interview and say, oh, tell me about yourself, your family. And it's like, oh, but I thought interviews, you're not supposed to ask these questions. That's not what we say. So that just get that right. All right. Okay.
So I'm going to go to my next question. I'll come back to you very quickly. I want us to try and cover as much as possible. A lot of people are looking. One of the questions that often comes up in that scenario is, what are your salary expectations? Have you ever been asked that question before? Who has been asked that question before? What are your salary expectations? How do you answer such a question? Let me come to the audience before I come to the panel. Have you ever attempted to answer this question before? I see a hand. Oh.
Yeah, I was asked that question in my first and second interviews. And probably when going into that particular interview, I talked to Nee. Okay, so he gave me some tips. And then, funny enough, that question came up. So I told them that they should pay me according to the salary structure of the organization, depending on the grade on which they put me. So that was the answer I gave them.
All right. Albert, I'm coming to you. How do you answer such a question?
Okay, so in instances where I've been asked that question, prior to the interview, I make sure I check what the range of the salary for the role is. So when they do ask, I make sure I quote the upper limit of that salary range. And it's also because I'm very confident that whatever they're going to negotiate to will never be below what I'm currently taking. So that's the approach I use.
Some people are always, thank you, Albert. I think some people are always afraid to talk about money. When you ask them, what are your salary expectations? Okay, I see a hand up there. It's like, oh, hey, saying. Okay, I see a hand here.
I think this is the point you need to clearly understand what the institution is about. Because that question depends on a lot of variables. One, if you are applying for a private sector job, then that implies that you need to know whether they upgrade salaries or not. So at some interview, you should know that whatever you negotiate for is what you are going to carry on for about 2-3 years. So you need to understand the business so that you know how you peg yourself, because don't expect that you enter and they will increase your salary. So that is the case of a private sector. Now, in the case of an institution where they have a grading system, then you should be able to determine what grade are you being interviewed for, so that you know your expectation and you know how you peg your salary, because there are some institutions, regardless of whatever experience you come from, you have to start from a certain grade. So you should know the salary that comes with that grade. So understanding the institution is very important, and also be very specific. You should also know your worth. You should be able to price yourself within a certain range and communicate that.
Thank you very much. Some people, when they are asked that question, their response is, oh, can be. What are your salary expectations? Then they respond, what is your salary offer? So I'm coming to the panel. What is the right way? This is an open question, so any of you can jump on this and just give us some guidance.
Okay, let me go first. All right, so I'm going to be specific with the IT industry. In other areas, it might be different. Now, the IT industry is a very competitive industry, more or less like energy, you know. It is an industry where you find maybe 3 people working in the same office, maybe the same place, but different salaries entirely. So in such an industry, like my brother said, you will have to know your worth, your value. It's very important. Elder taught us about value. You need to also understand the trends in the industry, what is going on. You know, what are people who are doing what I'm doing more likely to be paid? You know, what is going on in the industry? I get it. Now that when you settle on an amount on the negotiation table, don't be scared and don't be afraid to quote, because if you are in such an industry which is very competitive, if the employer doesn't take you, someone else is going to take you. The IT industry is very competitive. It's highly competitive. If you go to Silicon Valley right now, I have friends who leave jobs like within months, and it's like it's normal. You drop one job and pick another one because the gap, you know, is so wide. And you don't say that, this person is taking, let me use figures. Maybe someone is taking maybe 20,000 Ghana cedi. So let me also say 20,000 Ghana. If you think that what you are bringing to the table is very sharp and is sharper than this friend, and you can go 40,000, don't be scared to go it, because remember that the employer is looking at value, okay? There are people who can work faster than others. There are people, if the employer knows he can give you the salary of 2 people, you know, and he will get you, and you can do work more than 3 people. That is a gain for him, because remember, from the employer's point of view, he doesn't have to pay SNIT for 3 people. He only has to deal with 1 person here. So it's cheaper for the employer. But if you think that you look at it from the eyes of, you know, being an individual and you want to quote like other people, remember what you quote is what you be given. If you quote an employer says, okay, yeah, you can't cry. I mean, there's no amount of cry that will reverse it. Only for you to come back and maybe for some reason you get to know that someone is paid. I'll tell you a story. So in one company, in South Africa, this is very common. You find that mostly the whites are taking higher salaries than most of the blacks, even for the same job most of the time. And there was a situation where one guy he was actually resigning, so he was handing over his computer. And when he handed over his computer to this other South African black guy, he didn't delete everything from the machine. So that guy, went to downloads and he saw pay slips. You know, I remember I was, at home when I received a call. This guy called screaming, because this other guy was taking about 3-4 times what he was taking, and he became very bitter. But I asked him, I told him that, but when you went for the interview, I wasn't at his interview though, but I said, when you went for the interview, what happened? He said, I quoted this amount. I said, then that is you. he had quoted a different value. So you know your worth. You don't compare yourself to somebody. And that's what I'm saying. Remember, you can be doing the same work with somebody else, but from the employer's point of view, he might be getting different values, two different values. Maybe this guy has some other skill, like what Ella talked about, those other skills. Maybe he can let this person go and meet clients. Maybe you are in your corner, you are just doing one thing, but this guy can do 2, 3 things, depending on his experience or depending on what he told the employer. So know your value, and if you quote an amount and the employer cannot, I mean, you've not lost it. Like I'm saying, if the industry is competitive, you can place your CV somewhere. If the employer goes round and he still needs you, he will come back, and by the time he comes back, push the amount up again.
So I want to just, I want to filter your answers down a little bit, because a number of people who raised their hands here said they are looking for their first jobs, or they are their first jobs looking to switch jobs. So sometimes the flexibility to, flex your muscles on the negotiating table may not be that strong. So if you are interviewing for your first job, so these are people who may be fresh out of school or who may be looking for jobs. This is their first interview. They've gone all the way and now they're at the point of negotiation. How do they negotiate? They're already feeling some type of way. There's a little fear there. What do you say? Do you give a range? If they say, oh, does that mean that you're asking for 10,000? In the amount of 8,000, I won't. How do you go through that whole situation? Because I think it's something that happens a lot, especially here in Ghana. How do you handle that?
Yeah, so I think that's a different perspective. What I was saying is mostly for people who are already in the job market, exactly. If you're coming in, remember that you have more to prove. So when it comes to money, you don't really have a stronghold. Sometimes be foolish enough for your employer to ride you, because what you're looking for here is you're looking for experience, you're looking for connection, you're looking to stabilize yourself in that field. When you get in there and you sharpen yourself, there might be room for renegotiation. There might be room for you to have an advantage, because now you have an advantage. Maybe you know so much, you know how to do things more than anybody, because you've been doing now. And then you can actually go back to your employer for renegotiation. So that's where what I said apply. But if you're going in for the first time, you need to look at what is happening on the market when you're given an opportunity to quote an amount. Yes, don't be afraid. Don't go too high. Don't go too low. Look at how much you will need so that to make your life easy. When I talk about your life easy, you know your expenses. Don't quote an amount like you want to break the company. You want to quote an amount that will let you become rich tomorrow. You get what I'm saying? Just quote enough to cover your expenses and to be able to make a living and save, with the knowledge of what is going on in the industry. When you quote, the employer says, no, that's too much, and it comes down. Don't let that be the reason why you are not getting the job. If your employer wants to come down, that's fine. Maybe, the one who is interviewing you, he's also an employee, remember. He's just representing the company, okay? But when you get in the job, when you get the job, and it's up to you to prove yourself. Because after proving yourself, definitely, HR will see it. There will definitely be performance review. Then things will kick in. But for the first thing, the goal here is to get in, especially in this time, knowing that getting a job is difficult. If you get a company even to say that we are not going to pay you, volunteer, get yourself there. It's very important, because once you get yourself there, you get your hands dirty, you get sharp experience, you can go and get. I want to say this for the last time. If you are working for a company, a guy came to do internship with us, and he got so much experience. I didn't even know he was he came to do internship. It was when he was leaving that I got to know he came to. Because when he came in, he performed so well that when he was leaving, I was like, can't we give this guy any amount of money, he's asking for, but he still wanted to leave because he wanted to go face a different company with a new image, because he had command on our place, we knew him. We knew so much about him. He was so familiar. So there's an amount of money he couldn't go beyond. But now he had the experience. He had us, to his teeth. So he could go to a different company with all the experience, because nobody cares how much he was being paid. All the new employer is looking for is the experience that he has now. He has the experience, he has the boldness and confidence. You don't know him. So when the question comes, that previous question, tell me about yourself, he can now be bold to say it or brush it on this new company and quote the actual amount that he really wants. So that gradual progression.
Is the conversation going well for you? Yeah. Okay. Say my time is almost up. Hey.
So it was just to
we haven't
add
reached
to
anywhere. Okay.
What George said. So, he mentioned that if you are at this level, you have so much more to prove. So, truthfully, what it means is that this is an entry-level role, right? And entry-level, I want to look at it at two levels. You don't have work experience at all, you're not coming in, or you've had some through your internship and volunteering work, and you're not coming, but you're not having your first job offer. The second will be probably you were in a particular job role, but you are switching to a different role altogether, which you have no experience in. Probably you're a procurement person wanting to become an HR person. Obviously, you don't have experience there. So it's an entry level for you. Now, what do you need to look out for? Three things. First, you have to look at the country in which you're looking for this job, all right? Because what they may be paying for that role in US may not be the same they'll be paying in Ghana. So that's the first thing you want to look at. Secondly, you want to know what the industry is paying for that role. So you need to do your research. I mean, Glassdoor internationally gives you something, but then within the country itself, what are the job roles saying? What is the range? Because your awareness of it gives you opportunity to leverage, to negotiate. When you don't have knowledge and data, it's difficult to negotiate. So it gives you an advantage if you know what the data is saying. Now, the third thing is that even the same job, right, we have different job grades. So that entry level, there is a higher band and there is a lower band. You need to look at your skill sets now, to look at your capacity and value that you are bringing to the job to help you to negotiate. So when you go in there, based on your value, based on your experience, based on your capacity, with all of these three things that you have done, you have a better opportunity to know how to negotiate. Because if you negotiate below your capacity and value, you get into the job and you begin to complain. Because now you see the weight of the job you're doing, and then you're feeling as though you'd under-negotiated. The same way, if you over-negotiate and you get into the job, don't forget, the first 3 months and 6 months for most businesses is what? Your probation period. So if you can prove yourself within that period to justify why we should be paying you this money, the business wouldn't want to risk it. So then we may part ways after the probationary period. So your research is important. Know what is happening in the industry, know your value, and then you can use that to negotiate.
All right, thank you, Adam. Mami, I want to ask you a question before we break into our groups. A lot of people want to move into working for international organizations. What should they know about these organizations? How can they move into these organizations? So when I talk about international organizations, she works for the World Bank. People are interested in working for the UN, UNESCO, and organizations like that. So how do you even qualify to work for such an organization?
Thank you, Yvonne. I think from the onset, I think it's a cultural mindset. From my experience, I think I can only talk for Ghanaians. I don't know about Nigerians, but I think that the Ghanaian student doesn't come out with the view that they want to work for the International Development Agency. They just looking to get some work, either in the ministries or wherever, just get the work. And so the dream, or even the thinking, the goal of getting into the international job market is not there. They think that you have to go to maybe school abroad. After that, then you probably look for a job. But that's not true. That is so totally not true. I have never schooled outside Ghana, of course for short courses, but not in terms of masters or BSc. And so, first of all, they need to think that coming out of Legon or KNUSU, you are equally qualified. And so that should be the first point. The second point is that they should know which job market or which area they want to go, then find out what are the kind of experiences and skills globally those people, the jobs that they are targeting, have forget about University of Cambridge or whatever education they've had. What are the job skills? Or what job are these people doing? Then how can you prep yourself in your own individual way, either volunteer or, just get that experience without going to some international school or something. Don't think about international school. Think about the skill that you can acquire, right? A first example for me, I used to work for a Ghanaian consulting firm right out of school. That's why I did my national service. But then I also wanted to explore, like the question you asked, right? And so I was targeting volunteering. So there's an organization called EMI, Engineering Ministries International. It's a Christian organization, but they do a lot of engineering work. And so I found out that luckily they were coming to Ghana to do some volunteer or pro bono work, and I got in as a civil engineer. I worked with them. So even that, just getting to understand the different culture people work in, it's even a key. So I think the most important thing is that don't think that because you are from Legon or KNUSC or UCC or whatever, you are not ready for the international job. You are ready. Just get that in your mind, and once you have that, I think you can easily get into it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mami. So we are about to wrap up. We are about to go into breakout sessions, so you can have your one-on-one time with our subject matter experts. So if you are interested in learning more about energy, Mami is an energy analyst, and so on, you can speak directly to them. So I will hand over to Ni so that we can just go into the breakout sessions from here. I hope you found the session useful. I hope you found the panel discussion useful. And you are going to have the opportunity to ask your questions directly. So,
Thank you very much. That's my boss, Yvonne. Please give her a round of applause. Yeah. And we want to say thank you to our panelists. In fact, we don't take it for granted at all that you actually made time to come here today. So before we even go into our breakout session, I want to say that we really, really are highly appreciative of your being here today. Can we give them another round of applause? Okay, so let me see those of us by hand, those who are interested in marketing and communications. Okay, one. Yes, you wanted to ask a question. The money side, I like that part.
Sorry. So, you were asking about whether you should, mention what you're expecting. And then you made mention of the fact that if you're undercooked, you get in there and then you realize that you are miserable. I get it. But sometimes I also feel that employers owe the employees that are coming in the responsibility of knowing that, yes, maybe he's an entry person, first timer. He has no such ideas in terms of what to expect. So I believe that you have your minimum and you have your upper range. I think the right thing sometimes to be doing is if the person is quoting lower than your minimum, at least you should bring him up to where he's supposed to be. Okay, because if I happen to join a company, whatever I asked for, and in the course of the time I realized that whatever I was offered was way below what it is, straight away you lose my respect and trust. I'm finding the next way out. Okay, it doesn't matter whether I quoted well or not. And then there are those who ask you that, give me your pay slip. Let me know what you are earning first from where you are. And my question is, what is the relevance? I am here for a job. This is what I want. Why do you want to know what I was taking from where I am? Is it right to want to know what I was earning before you can offer me what I'm asking for? Or you should be offering me what I'm asking for based on the skills that you are seeing I possess? These are the things that I want you to clarify for me.
This one, Mr. Pierre, or you want them to go? Okay.
Okay,
Then
sure.
after that, yes.
The first one, I agree with you. It's actually, there was a conversation we're having recently, even in our company. It's only in Ghanaian company most of the times that you see that they don't want to even quote the salary range on their job ads. Because truthfully, I had this conversation, I'm privileged to have this conversation with my board chair, and he says that if you really want to attract the right people even for the job, so that you don't waste your time, because then you need to put the range there. So then somebody who is even expecting beyond that range probably knows that this is not for me. So he's not even applying for you to go through that whole conversation. So yes, I agree with you. In principle, that's the best practice. Put it there. People who know are coming in, and they know the range within which they are also negotiating for. So that's important. As best practice also, obviously, as much as I agree with you that companies should bring it up, I think the best practice businesses would definitely not offer you something less than what they have on their salary range. Because then there's a salary structure, obviously, and it has a range within which they're paying for. Like I mentioned, there's a band, upper band, lower band, whatever it is. So even if you're underquote, they should be able to put you within what their salary structure has in place. So yes, with that one, so I agree with you. But since we're talking to people, we're also trying to let them understand that even what you can also do as the one seeking the job is try to find somebody within the business. Sometimes they can give you that. They may not mention exact figure because salaries are also confidential. And policy may tell people not to mention salaries. But they may give you an idea of what to expect in terms of range. So you're also well informed to do your negotiation. All right. Okay.
Yeah, and of course, with what Adam rightly said, the job market is facing a crisis in Africa. Ejuma and Niho, there are no jobs. So under normal circumstances, in a best practice approach, you get your job description and what you are looking for, the month specification, and let them know how much you are paying for that role. The money has to be there. But in Ghana, the jobs are not there anyway, so whether we put it there or not, you will surely come. So we have a best practice approach and a best fit approach. So in Ghana, we are using a best fit approach. We don't put the money there. We do the advert. People will come because there are no jobs. They will come and they will interview. But then, with what you rightly said, you must fundamentally do your research. All of them have said it. With that, it is part of the interview. Asking you your salary expectation is an interview question. We want to know whether you have really done your research well. Did you find out how much this role would pay? Not specifically the money, but a range. So I always tell people that you are better off giving a range. Even at our level, when I'm applying for a very high-level job, I make sure that, because you have done your research, and somebody will go and quote a certain amount, they'll say, okay, we'll give you that. Someone will go and quote a low amount, we'll give you that. But look at how much the industry is paying for that role and give a range, because you can't go and say lower or upper or midpoint, and then they give it to you, and you go in there and you see that, what has happened. But you are seeking to switch jobs or getting into your first role, number one, your research must be done. When you go in there and they ask you your salary expectation, you have done your research. So you know that, this role pays between, or I would want to be paid, let's say, between 2,500 and 3,600 Ghana cedis. Anything in between, I'll be willing to take that. And when you do that, you have covered your lower point, your midpoint, and even the upper point with regards to the research that you did. So that once you quote in there, me that I am employing you, I am, let's say, employing you at a certain scale. I know how much we pay for that scale. So definitely, as I bring you in, I'm going to give you that amount of money. So I won't say that because you mentioned an amount of money that is at variance with what I have, I will not give you the job. I will surely give you. I have been working for public service all through. And in public service, when you come in, and all the interviews I've sat on, I make sure I ask this question. And I'm not asking this question to fail you or to pass you. Some people come in and you are coming in as an entry-level job. You have finished university. You've done your national service. You're coming in, and this is a job, a role, an assistant HR officer role. You are coming to mention 10,000, 12,000. What is here? Are you correct? You understand? Did you do your role well? And it means that you are somebody who we can't take you serious. You just go. But you come in and you mention a realistic amount of money. We say that, no, this person did his or her job very well, or her research or background, search very well. And so we said that, we are taking you for an assistant HR role based on your experience. now 1 year national service, and let's say about 5 months internships that you've done at several organizations, I am giving you this amount of money, and that will be on your appointment letter. So when you come in, you look at it, and somebody else will come for that same role, and we pay that same person less, because that person had not done any internships apart from national service. That is all that the person has done. So there's a premium that we give. But fundamentally, once you mention an amount of money and you see a range, we will surely give you that. Now, coming back to some people who go and say that bring your pay slip, it is completely undone. We don't do that. However, somebody can go into an interview room and they will say that, well, I want this amount of money. I say, wow, how much were you paid in your previous job? Oh, I was paid even 1,000 more than that. The persons on the panel say, this one it's a bit ridiculous. This is an entry-level role. Or, of course, you are switching jobs. You are worth only two years or 3 years. You are mentioning this amount of money. And now we say that, oh, how much were you paid in your previous job? And you said that you were even paid about 1,000 more. Somebody else will want to say that. Can I have a look at it? In fact, the person is wanting to see that whether you are a truthful person and not as a formalized interview process to take your pay slip in your previous role. No, we don't do that. But if you go and lie or you misquote or say some things that are outrageous, that is where you'll be in serious trouble. And they will say that, well, bring this, let us see. But it's not part of any formalized interview process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just to add to what I said earlier on, you were saying that if the person underquote, why don't we just bring the person up? Truthfully, when we are recruiting, that's why we call it selection. We are not just giving anybody who comes up job. There are things we're looking out for. So we want high potential talent. We want high performance. So if the person is already underquoting, there's a question mark on that kind of talent, right? It's a pool of talent we are looking out for. So we want somebody who shows some acumen, that you understand what this job is about. You have done some research, you've prepared yourself for this role itself. So that is very important. Now, when I am asking people for their salary expectation, always remember that when interview questions are asked, there are so many other things that people are looking out for. When I ask that, there are 3 things I'm looking out for. Your commercial awareness, right? Because when you come into the business, I'm expecting that you would price right. Okay, if you are selling for me, I'm expecting that you will sell right. So that is one of the things I'm looking out for. I'm not just asking for money's sake. The second thing is your power of negotiation. How are you good at negotiation? So that's another skill I'm also looking out for, even in this salary negotiation. The third is your value. Like, do you really have an understanding of what your value and worth is? So that's what I'm expecting for you to say in that figure that you are going to mention to me. And I'm looking out for it. So it's not just I'm asking you to mention any figure at all. So sometimes intent is important for us to understand. It helps us to know how to respond to some of the questions that we are being asked.
Thank you very much. Can we show some love? Another round of applause. Yes, so intent is very important. Like our bosses have said, sometimes you are going into the interview and then because it's a new role you are looking for, and you're looking for a certain amount of money, you want to go and lie. That, oh, you were taking this amount because you think that this is your best point to be able to get a new figure. Then, now when they say go and bring pay slip, you don't even have SNET number. Right, so we're going to move on into our breakout session quickly. Please, those of us interested in finance, can I see by hand? Finance, investment, and accounting. Let me see by hand, please. Please, either you are not sure or you are shy. Or you don't understand me. Okay, 1, 2, 3, good. The fewer, the merrier. Yes, because you get to have a better one-on-one interaction with whoever your resource person is. So we'll be going into the finance bit, and for this, he's the only panelist we haven't introduced yet. We are honored to have a results-driven investment banking professional and a clean energy financial specialist with diversified experience from the perspective of an investor, transactions advisor, policy and regulatory advisor, and project developer, with over 15 years of experience. He has proven expertise in origination, deal structuring, project finance, financial modeling, energy economic sector reform and restructuring, clean energy finance, and public-private partnerships. That's the triple P. Then he has considerable transactions advisory experience across the infrastructure, banking and finance, energy, renewable energy, pharmaceuticals, agriculture, oil, and gas industries. So this man has quite some good experience. We're honored to have with us Jeffrey Ken Baden. Jeffrey, you want to give us a wave? We're grateful to have you with us. So he's going to be a resource person for the finance and then the investment segment of our breakout. And then we're going to have marketing and communication. And we're honored to have our very own Yvonne Champon to be championing that. Then human resource, we're going to have Mr. Edward Apia Brafo, and then Adam to be championing that. Then IT, data analytics, programming, software engineering, and then, yes, and AI-related matters. We're going to have Elder Enoch Abase to be championing that as well. And then finally, we have energy, climate change, and sustainability. We have our, if I want to use the World Bank part, it makes you see her better. So we have our World Bank professional also with us to do that. So I'm going to make this easy. I'm going to allow them to choose where you want to meet your people. We are doing this in just 15 minutes. So wherever you are, they'll just come to you. And then, oh, okay. I'm sorry. So we have designations for the various places. So human resource, where will we be? So all those interested in human resource, please come this way. And then IT, data analytics, all the way at the back there where Jeffrey is. So please move there. And then finance, investment accounting. That should also be okay to the left-hand side. And then we have marketing and communication. Maybe we can use here. Okay. Okay, so energy is going to my left-hand side. Energy, climate change, and then sustainability are going to my left-hand side. Okay, so marketing and communication will be in the middle here. So we can do it like the way we do our Bible studies. Then we just have a small